What's going on, y'all? Gamers Goon back here today with your Premier League predictions. Obviously, last week we did miss a week. We've missed a lot more weeks in the NFL than we have in the Premier League. I think this was the first time we missed a week in the Premier League with prediction videos. Halloween weekend, very busy time. Obviously, y'all know with school, it's been a little hectic at times here for me to get videos made, done and out because I got a busy full schedule this term. I got work, I got classes, I got all that. So that is that. That's why we didn't have a video last week, but this week we are back with the Premier League. Right now we are sitting at where are we sitting? We're sitting 10 games in. 10 games in for I think everybody. Yeah, everybody's played 10 games at this point. And tomorrow it starts off the 11th game for everybody else. And we get it at 5:30 a.m. I will not be watching this one. I probably won't be up until about the 8 a.m. games. We got Fulham versus Man United, only about 6 hours away. You look at both these teams, kind of somewhat mid-table. Man United sitting eighth. Fulham 3 points behind, but they're sitting 14th. Could be a big game here for Fulham if they are to get a win, because that could jump them all the way up to eighth, depending on goal differential and stuff like that. But big game for Fulham to kind of give themselves a little boost here into that upper mid card. Obviously, I think they're well clear of getting relegated. You look at the bottom four teams, none of them have broke 10 points yet. Bournemouth barely has 6 points, and they're barely out of the relegation. Luton with 5, Burnley with 4, Sheffield with a measly 1 point. So Fulham, I think they're pretty much clear of that, but big game here for Fulham. I think Fulham's gotta come out. They gotta come firing. This game is being done in London, Craven Cottage. This is not going to be in Manchester, so a little bit of a home field advantage there for Fulham. But for the most part, I do think Man United should win this game. Man United, it's kind of been a meme going around that Man United hasn't had a forward, whether that be a striker or a forward winger, whether that's right, left wing, what doesn't matter. They don't have very many goals coming from those guys. I think you need a Hoyland big game here. I think he'll be very impactful. Fulham a little bit one of those tricky teams, especially at home. They're a little bit gritty, so it's going to be interesting. But Fulham should not beat Man United. Man United should win. I'm going 2-1 to United. Next, we got Brentford versus West Ham. Brentford West Ham. This matchup features a team sitting at 9 and a team sitting at 10. So basically, whatever happens this match really can determine something between these two teams: who's higher, who's lower. West Ham, if they're able to get a win, they could move up as high as sixth. Depending on the result at Newcastle, Brighton, and Man United, obviously. But West Ham, big opportunity here to get a little bit of their ground back that they started off the season pretty hot in. And Brentford, able to keep themselves right where I think they're wanting to be before I imagine they sell Ivan Toney in January and make a big sum of money and go reinvest that elsewhere to help build up that team for Brentford. So if they can stick around in that upper mid-table area, I think Brentford's in a good spot. Same thing, West Ham. I think they're in a pretty good spot also. But it should be a good game. I'm gonna go draw. I'm gonna go 2-2 draw there for Brentford and West Ham. Next, we got a team that we just talked about being in relegation. Burnley going up against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace is sitting 13th, one spot ahead of Fulham based off goal differential. But Crystal Palace, easy opportunity here to get an easy 3 points. Burnley's not a team that you should necessarily go in thinking you're going to beat, but Burnley's a team you need to beat. I'm going to say a 2-0 victory for Palace. Next, you got Everton versus Brighton. Brighton sitting 7th, Everton sitting at 15th. I think everybody was kind of expecting Everton not to have a good year, and by no means have they had a good year. There's just some bad teams sitting at the bottom right now. But this one's at Goodison's Park. Everton should not win this game, but I think it's going to be a decent game. I think they'll make a show out of it. But ultimately, I'm going to go 3-2 Brighton. Brighton's got to get a win there to keep their form going on through the remainder of the season. Then we got Man City versus Bournemouth. Kind of talked about Bournemouth being one spot out. This is a big game for Man City. Man City needs to go in there. They need to put 4 or 5 goals on them, and they need to get the goal differential going up. Obviously, Man City currently sitting at third. They need to figure out a way. If them and Arsenal both win, which is possible this week, they need to get goal differential there in this game against Bournemouth. And hopefully it's more than Arsenal. But in my case, I'm an Arsenal fan, so hopefully they lose the game. But for Man City's sake, they need goals. They need big goals. They need to win big, and I think Bournemouth is an easy side for them to go handle. I'm going to go 4-0 on that game. Sheffield United, we talked about them, 1 point. Wolves sitting at 12. Wolves, not the greatest of teams. They did have the Man City victory, kind of shocking. I think Wolves are starting to turn it around just a little bit. You look at, let's pull up Wolves here. Their last 5 matches, they had a bad loss to Ipswich, but they did beat Man City. They drew against Aston Villa. They beat Bournemouth. They drew against Newcastle. Wolves are getting results. They're starting to get results. Sheffield United, weaker side. You should come in. You should get your 3 points. Get in, get out. 3-1 for Wolves. And then we got the big game of the weekend for me, for everybody. Maybe you prefer the Monday game a little bit more, but for me, this is the big game of the weekend. Newcastle, Arsenal. This is going to be an absolute great game. It's played at Newcastle. No home field. We're not at the Emirates. It's going to be a tough away opponent. You look at the probable lineup here. Callum Wilson, he's sitting there. He's got about, how many goals he got on the season? I believe 7 this season. Yeah, 7 goals in this Premier League season. This is a good Newcastle team, man. This is a good Newcastle team. Callum Wilson, somebody you're going to have to track. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus will not be there. Obviously, Emile Smith-Rowe will not be there. And then Partey also will not be there. And then it goes without saying Urian Timber won't be there as well. So, going to be a little bit weaker side from Arsenal versus a Newcastle team that I think has been really solid. So you're probably looking at maybe a Trossard or Nketiah starting. But for the wing position to come in as cover to either Martinelli or Saka, you're probably looking at like a Reece Nelson. So definitely take that into consideration if you're making a pick. For me, it's tough. I don't want to pick against Arsenal. That's why the best I'm going to do is go to draw. Newcastle's a tough team away, going in hurt, banged up. I don't see us getting 3. I hope we do, but I'm going to go with a 2-2 game, and that's going to be a draw. Hopefully Arsenal can get the victory, but I'm a little nervous going into that game. Then we got Forest versus Villa. Forest versus Villa. We're sitting Villa at 5th, Forest at 16th. Forest isn't the worst team by any means. They're an okay team. Villa, though, I think Villa is a team that has yet to fully be unleashed, and I think this is a perfect game for it. Helps them get back into the race. They're sitting 5th. If you get lucky and maybe one of the top 4 teams ahead of you, one of them drops a match, maybe an Arsenal, you jump up a spot and now you're ahead of them, and now you're in a Champions League spot, which doesn't necessarily mean anything until the end of the season anyways, but maybe that's the motivation you need if you're Villa. I think Villa wins that. Probably. Forest is a decent half. I'm going to give them a 3-1. Then we get Liverpool versus Luton. Luton Town. Liverpool's going to win. Luton Town, I'm sorry. You're not beating Liverpool. Liverpool's winning that one 2-0. Darwin Núñez brace. It's coming soon. Then to cap off the week, Monday, noon, we got Tottenham Hotspur going up against the Chelsea half. Chelsea's been good. Chelsea's been good lately. You look at Chelsea and obviously like, oh, they spent $1 billion. They did this, they did that. The last 5 games, they beat Fulham, they beat Burnley, they drew against Arsenal. They didn't have a great game against Brentford. They did lose that one, but they beat Blackburn Rovers. Chelsea, Chelsea's starting to maybe make a push. Um, kind of, I don't know if I want to say this. I think I'm rooting for Chelsea in this game. Chelsea's sitting at the table 11th with 12 points. Tottenham's sitting number 1. As an Arsenal fan, I want to see Tottenham drop a game and have Arsenal potentially win our game and jump Tottenham and get back to number 1. But is it going to happen? I don't know. Tottenham Chelsea, big game, big game of the week. I think ultimately though I'm gonna go with a draw in this one. So we had a lot of draws this week. It's in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but I'm gonna ultimately go with a draw at 1-1. I'm gonna say that Chelsea is able to get a point out of it. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.